You ever notice how some men act like they've got a PhD in hiding their feelings? They'll walk around like stone walls, strong, unshakable, mysterious. But deep down, you know there's a storm brewing inside. The funny part, the signs are always there. He misses you desperately, but he just won't come out and say it. Now, let's be real. Most guys aren't going to stand outside your window holding a boom box over their heads like in those old movies. No, that's too obvious. Instead, they'll show you in 100 little ways you've got to notice. The first sign, he finds excuses to stay connected. Suddenly, he's texting you about the most random things. Hey, do you remember the name of that pizza place we went to 3 years ago? Really, he doesn't care about the pizza. He cares about hearing from you. That's his sneaky way of breaking the silence. Second sign, he lurks in your world. You post something on social media, and there he is, first to like it. Doesn't matter if it's a photo of your cat sleeping or a blurry picture of your lunch. He's right there quietly saying, I'm still here. I still care. Third sign, he remembers details he shouldn't. You mentioned once in passing that you hate cold coffee. Months later, he says, don't worry, I got your drink hot, just the way you like it. See, that's not coincidence. That's memory powered by missing someone. And here's the thing, he might not have the courage to put it into words. Maybe it's pride, maybe it's fear, maybe it's just that male DNA that refuses to admit vulnerability. But his actions, they betray him every single time. When a man misses you, but won't say it, you'll see it in the way he lingers in conversations, how he tries to make you laugh, how he shows up in places where you didn't expect him. You'll feel it in the silence between his words. You'll see it in his eyes when he looks at you a second longer than he should. And why does this matter? Because sometimes we mistake silence for absence. We think he doesn't say it, so maybe he doesn't feel it. But love doesn't always scream. Sometimes it whispers. And if you pay attention to the whispers, the subtle signs, you'll know. So here's the takeaway if you're wondering whether he misses you but won't say it. Don't just listen to his words, watch his actions. Because actions, my friends, are louder than 1,000 unspoken sentences. Do you want me to make this more humorous and playful with punchlines? I like a comedy speaker keeping the crowd laughing, or keep it serious and emotional with storytelling. When a man misses you but doesn't have the courage or willingness to admit it outright, one of the most telling signs is the way he suddenly begins to find random excuses to reach out. At first glance, these messages or calls might appear ordinary, almost insignificant, but beneath them lies a quiet attempt to bridge the distance he feels. He might text you to ask about something trivial, like the name of a restaurant you once went to, or whether you still remember that funny incident you both laughed about months ago. It is never really about the restaurant or the incident or the small detail. It is about establishing a thread of connection without openly confessing. I miss you. Every excuse is carefully crafted so it doesn't expose his vulnerability, but it's also strong enough to keep the door of communication open. Often. And these excuses are clumsy and out of the blue. And that's exactly what makes them revealing. For instance, he might suddenly ask for your opinion on something he could easily Google. Instead of searching online for the answer, he chooses to reach out to you, not because he needs the information, but because he needs the interaction. That question about the weather, the name of a song, or the suggestion for a good movie, none of it is about the actual subject. It is about creating a moment where your presence fills his silence. It's his way of saying, I still want you in my daily life, even if I can't admit it. There's also the way he frames these excuses. He will often use lighthearted or casual tones, almost as though he is testing the waters. He doesn't want to appear too intense or too obvious, so the messages may come disguised as jokes, harmless check-ins, or little questions that seem inconsequential. But the frequency and timing reveal the truth. He will message you late at night when loneliness is heavier, or early in the morning when you are one of his first thoughts. These moments show more than his words ever could. He may not say directly, I was thinking about you before I fell asleep, or you were on my mind as I started my day. But the excuses themselves are the translation of that feeling. Sometimes these random conversations start with something so small that you might even dismiss it. He might comment on something you posted days ago, or bring up a conversation you had long ago as if it just resurfaced in his memory. In reality, he has been thinking about you far more than he lets on. And these little openings are his way of giving himself permission to talk to you. The excuses are never about the surface level question. They are about maintaining emotional proximity. By reaching out, he keeps you in his orbit without admitting his longing. What makes this behavior even more significant is that it is consistent. A one-time random question could mean nothing, but when he repeatedly finds reasons to connect, It becomes a pattern that speaks volumes. He doesn't let the silence grow too wide. He doesn't want to lose the bridge between you. So he fills the gaps with whatever reason he can come up with, however silly it might seem. He would rather risk looking random than risk being forgotten. It is in these excuses that you can sense his struggle, the tug of war between pride and vulnerability. On one hand, he wants to keep his guard up, to appear strong and unaffected. On the other, he cannot silence the need to feel your presence, to hear your voice, to know that the bond between you is still alive. And so he takes the middle road. He won't declare, "I miss you," but his excuses declare it for him. Every question, every check, in every random message is a quiet confession. All you have to do is listen between the lines. Do you want me to expand the other keynotes in the same deep, emotional style? Or would you prefer a mix of humor and storytelling for variety? One of the clearest signs that he misses you but won't put it into words is the way he engages with your social media more than he normally would. It might start subtly. You notice he's always one of the first to like your posts, or his name keeps popping up in your notifications. Maybe he never used to comment on your pictures before, but suddenly he leaves little reactions, emojis, or short phrases that seem simple on the surface. What's really happening is that social media becomes his safe space to show you he's still watching, still interested, still emotionally connected, even if he cannot bring himself to call or say directly, "I miss you." Think about it in today's world. People express their feelings more often through digital signals than direct conversation. For someone who doesn't want to openly confess longing, engaging with your posts is the perfect halfway gesture. It lets him stay close to you without risking rejection. He doesn't have to face the vulnerability of saying out loud how much he thinks about you. Instead, he hits the like button, shares a laughing emoji, or casually comments something that keeps him present in your world. These small gestures are his way of reminding you, "I'm still here. I haven't forgotten. You still matter to me." What makes this behavior stand out is its consistency. If someone is truly missing you, it won't just be an occasional like or one-time comment. It becomes a pattern, something you start to notice across days and weeks. Every time you post a photo, there's his reaction. Every story you share, there's his view. Even when he doesn't engage directly, you may notice he's always among the first people to watch your stories. That silent attention is its own kind of message. It says, "I want to see what's happening in your life, even if I'm not part of it right now." There's also the kind of posts he chooses to react to. He might ignore the generic ones, but will quickly respond to anything personal, your smile, your achievements, even your random thoughts. If you post something funny, he'll be right there with a laugh. If you share something serious, he might send a quiet message of support. This selective engagement shows he's not just scrolling aimlessly. He's paying attention to you specifically. He's making sure you know he's still tuned in, still connected to the details of your life. Another layer to this is the timing. Often, he will interact when he feels the distance the most. Late night likes, sudden comments on old photos, or even reacting to something you posted hours ago. These are all signs that you are on his mind when no one else is around. When the distractions of the day fade, his feelings surface, and social media becomes the outlet, it's easier for him to double tap on a picture than to send a heartfelt message, but the emotion behind both is the same. There's also a bit of strategy in it. By showing up in your notifications regularly, he ensures you don't forget him either. Every like, every comment, every view is his way of gently knocking on the door of your attention. He may not be bold enough to admit he's missing you, but he doesn't want to disappear from your awareness. It's a way of saying, "Don't move on without noticing me. I'm still part of your story." So while on the surface it may look like harmless social media activity, the truth is much deeper. It's not about the like button or the emoji. It's about the emotional need behind those actions. When someone misses you but won't admit it, they often find small, indirect ways to show it, and in today's digital world, social media is the perfect stage. His engagement is not random, it's deliberate, meaningful, and quietly revealing. If you look closely, every interaction carries unspoken message. "I miss you, even if I can't say it. Would you like me to keep the next keynote expansions in this serious, emotional tone, or should I add a little more witty humor to balance it out?" When a man misses you but doesn't want to confess it openly, one of the clearest signs is how he remembers the small details that others tend to forget. This isn't about the big, obvious things like your birthday or your favorite color. It's about the little things you mention casually, often without even realizing their importance, that somehow remain etched in his mind. Maybe you once told him you prefer your tea a certain way, or that you can't stand the sound of a ticking clock when you're trying to sleep. He holds on to these fragments of your personality because they matter to him, because they remind him of you in your most authentic, everyday form. This attention to detail becomes especially noticeable when he brings it up unexpectedly. Imagine you're at a cafe, and without you asking, he orders your drink exactly the way you like it. Or perhaps months after a random conversation, he recalls the name of the book you said you wanted to read. These gestures aren't just about good memory. They are fueled by care. They are the kind of actions that come from someone who keeps you close in his thoughts, replaying the little things you shared, because missing you makes even those details feel precious. The reason these small memories stand out is because they reveal effort. Most people filter information. They forget what doesn't seem immediately useful. But when someone misses you, everything about you feels useful, meaningful, worth remembering. Even your quirks become treasures in his mind. If you once said you always put on socks before sleeping because your feet get cold, don't be surprised when he teases you about it later. What looks like harmless teasing is, in reality, proof that he paid attention because you matter enough to remember. It's also in the way he uses those details in conversation. He'll slip them in naturally, almost casually, but the effect is powerful. You might be talking about something completely unrelated when he says, "Oh, isn't that the kind of food you don't like?" Or, "Didn't you once mention you wanted to visit that city?" At first, it feels surprising that he still recalls those tiny fragments, but that's exactly how missing someone works. The absence doesn't erase memories, it sharpens them. The more he misses you, the more he holds on to those little anchors that tie him to who you are. This behavior also reveals his emotional attachment in subtle ways. Remembering details isn't just about having a sharp memory, it's about value. We all store the information that feels important to us. If he remembers that you once lost your favorite pen and were frustrated about it, or that you loved the smell of rain in early mornings, it's because he values your emotions. He connects your small stories with the person he cares for, and when he misses you, replaying those memories gives him comfort. There's another layer to this as well. Recalling details is often his way of reconnecting without being obvious. Instead of saying, "I've been thinking about you," he'll prove it through his memory. By remembering what others might forget, he silently shows that you left an imprint on him. He's saying, without words, "You matter enough to stay in my thoughts even when you're not around." These reminders are his unspoken confessions wrapped in casual conversation or thoughtful actions. When you step back and look at the bigger picture, these little moments paint a clear message. A man who misses you but doesn't say it directly will let his memory do the talking. The way he recalls your preferences, your habits, your random stories, it all reveals that you are present in his mind even in your absence. It's his way of bridging the gap, of keeping the connection alive, of showing you in the smallest yet most powerful ways that you are unforgettable. Do you want me to move on and expand Keynote No. 4 in the same heartfelt storytelling style, or would you like me to add a more playful and witty twist to keep the rhythm engaging? When a man misses you but cannot bring himself to admit it, one of the ways it reveals itself is in the way he shows up in places where he knows you will be. At first, it may look like coincidence, but when you start noticing the pattern, you realize it is not random at all. He suddenly appears at that cafe you mentioned you liked, or at a gathering where he knows you'll be present. He might justify it with casual excuses like he just happened to be in the area. But the truth is, he makes the effort to be near you because distance weighs heavily on him. His physical presence becomes a silent statement of longing, a way to bridge the space he feels without having to utter the words, "I miss you." These appearances often come wrapped in nonchalance. He'll act as if he just stumbled into the same place, smiling casually, almost pretending that fate orchestrated the moment. But deep down, you can sense the intention. People don't accidentally keep crossing paths with you. They make choices that put them there. When someone misses you, they are drawn toward places that give them a chance to see you, even if only briefly. That glance across the room, that casual wave, that small exchange of words, all of it feeds the need for connection that he cannot verbalize. Sometimes his presence is even more subtle. He might start frequenting spots that are part of your routine, not in a way that feels intrusive, but in a way that ensures he is still woven into the fabric of your life. If he knows you jog in the park at a certain hour, don't be surprised if he suddenly takes up jogging and happens to choose the same trail. If he knows you like a particular bookstore, it won't be shocking if you see him browsing the shelves there more often than before. Each appearance is his way of saying, "I still want to be part of your world," without exposing the vulnerability of saying it outright. The effort behind these encounters is what makes them meaningful. It's not easy to keep showing up, to carve time out of his schedule just for the chance of seeing you. That effort is a language of its own. It says, being near you, even without words, matters to me. And when you pay attention, you realize these actions are not accidental. They are deliberate choices born out of missing you. There is also an emotional comfort he gains from being in your presence. Even if the interaction is brief, even if he says nothing significant, the very act of seeing you, of sharing the same space, fills a void for him. He might go home afterwards pretending it was nothing, but deep down, that encounter carries weight. It soothes the ache of missing you. That is why he keeps showing up, why he gravitates toward your orbit. What makes this behavior touching is the vulnerability hidden beneath the surface. On the outside, he maintains his composure, his pride, his mask of casualness. But underneath, his actions betray the truth. He misses the warmth of your presence, the comfort of your company, the ease of being near you. Since he cannot bring himself to say it, he chooses the next best thing, making sure you still feel his presence, even without his confession. When you step back and notice the pattern, these encounters speak louder than any words could. They reveal his struggle, the battle between pride and longing, between silence and truth. Each time he shows up where you are, it is not coincidence. It is intention. It is his heart finding a way to stay close without breaking the armor of words. And in those moments, his unspoken message becomes clear. I miss you, and being near you is the only way I can admit it. Would you like me to take keynote no 0.5 in the same deep, emotional style? Or would you like me to make it a little more lighthearted and playful, almost like a humorous observation? One of the clearest signs that he misses you but won't dare to say it is in the way he lingers in conversations and looks at you longer than necessary. Words may escape him. Confessions may choke in his throat, but his eyes and his timing give him away. When someone doesn't miss you, their conversations are quick, practical, and to the point. But when he does, the rhythm changes. He doesn't want the talk to end, doesn't want the call to be cut short, doesn't want to let go of that moment where your voice fills the silence he feels when you are not around. Every pause, every hesitation, every repeated question becomes his subtle way of holding on to you just a little longer. You may notice it when you're talking on the phone. Instead of wrapping up with a polite goodbye, he keeps adding little remarks to prolong the conversation. He might bring up random topics, ask questions that don't really need answers, or repeat things just to stretch the time. It isn't about the content of the talk, it's about the connection it creates. Even in casual chats, he lingers because being in conversation with you replaces the emptiness he feels when you are gone. The same truth plays out in face-to-face interactions. When you're together, he listens with unusual attentiveness, nodding, smiling, asking questions, not because he needs the information, but because he wants the exchange to last longer. You might notice him looking at you even when you are not speaking, holding his gaze a second longer than what would normally be considered casual. That gaze carries a weight his words don't, a weight that says, I miss you, without letting the syllables fall from his lips. Eyes are often honest when words are restrained. And the way he watches you, the way he soaks in the sight of you is his silent confession. These lingering moments are also filled with hesitation. He might look like he's about to say something important, but then stops himself. He hesitates, shifts, maybe smiles instead, covering what he really wanted to express. That unfinished sentence, that withheld confession, is another way of showing you that he misses you but cannot find the courage to break his own wall of silence. Instead, he relies on the unspoken, the length of the conversation, the depth of his gaze, to communicate what his pride or fear prevents him from saying directly. Even in digital conversations, the pattern is noticeable. He takes longer to end chats, replies quickly even when the conversation is trivial, and throws in emojis or like comments just to keep the thread alive. He doesn't want the screen to go quiet because the silence would remind him of the distance he feels. So he lingers, he drags out the interaction as if every extra minute with you, even through text, is a small victory over the loneliness of missing you. This lingering is not accidental. It's emotional gravity. When someone misses you, they naturally gravitate toward extending moments with you. Every second feels too short. Every goodbye feels premature. He may not say, please don't go yet, but his actions express it clearly. The way he clings to the last line of the chat, the way his eyes hold onto you in silence, the way his voice softens at the end of conversations, all of it whispers the truth. And the most telling part is how he seems reluctant to let go. Even after saying goodbye, he might text again minutes later with something small he forgot to mention. Even after leaving, he might circle back for one last word, one last glance. These are not random gestures. They are the signs of someone who misses you so deeply that the mere act of parting feels heavier than he can admit. So while he may never directly confess, his lingering tells the whole story. The way he stretches conversations and the way his eyes hold on to you longer than necessary are not just habits. They are his way of keeping you close when words fail him. They are the language of longing, spoken without sound, seen in pauses, felt in silences. They are his unspoken admission he misses you, and every extra second with you is too precious to let slip away. Would you like me to expand keynote, no point 6 in the same soulful storytelling style, or should I make the final one sharper? Almost like a punchy closing statement for the whole speech. When he misses you but won't say it, the truth slips out in his actions more than in anything he might try to express verbally. Words can be controlled, polished, or even hidden, but actions are instinctive, often revealing the feelings he's trying so hard to conceal. It shows in the way he goes out of his way to help you, in the way he notices things others overlook, and in the small gestures that seem ordinary but carry the weight of longing behind them. Even when he tries to appear casual or detached, his behavior betrays him. Speaking in a language more honest than words, you might notice that he becomes unusually attentive. If something is wrong, he picks up on it before you even say a word. If you're quiet, he asks what's bothering you. If you're tired, he offers support. These are not random acts of kindness. They are signs of someone whose heart is tuned to your rhythm. He doesn't need you to explain much because missing you has made him more alert to your moods. That attentiveness is his unspoken way of saying, you matter to me and I'm here even if I don't admit it aloud. It also appears in the way he prioritizes you. A man who misses you but won't say it will find reasons to make himself available when you need him. He may cancel his own plans, rearrange his schedule, or show up when you least expect it, all because being there for you makes him feel close to you again. He might not declare his feelings openly, but his presence at the right moment is a stronger declaration than any words could be. He is essentially showing you, through his choices, that your importance outweighs his pride or his fear of being vulnerable. Sometimes his actions come in the form of protection. He worries about you, checks in to make sure you're safe, or tries to solve problems for you even when you didn't ask. He might disguise it as being practical or just concerned. But beneath it all is the truth. He misses the role he had in your life, and by caring for you, he keeps that role alive. That protective instinct is not about control. It is about closeness. It is about ensuring that even if he cannot say it, you still feel the presence of someone who deeply values you. Even in the simplest gestures, the truth shines through. Maybe he remembers to bring you something small you once mentioned, or he goes out of his way to check on things you care about. These actions might look minor, but they carry a deeper meaning. They are deliberate choices made because he thinks about you, because missing you pushes him to stay connected in whatever way he can manage without fully exposing his emotions. The power of actions lies in their consistency. Words can be said once and forgotten, but actions repeated over time build a pattern that cannot be ignored. When you look closely, you'll see that his actions are often louder than the silence he maintains. He may never say the words, but the way he shows up, the way he lingers, the way he quietly takes care of things for you, those are his unspoken confessions. They are proof that the absence has left a space in him, and everything he does is an attempt to fill it by staying close to you in some way. Ultimately, the reason actions reveal more than words is because they come from a place of truth. He might hold his tongue out of fear, pride, or uncertainty, but his actions are less filtered, less guarded. They slip out when he least intends them, painting a picture of someone who misses you more than he is willing to admit. And when you pay attention, you realize that every gesture, every effort, every thoughtful act is carrying the same message. I miss you even if I don't say it.